Hey everyone, Connie here, and welcome to my reaction for My Hero Academia Season 3, Episode 6. So yeah, last time we left off, Tokiyami's Dark Shadow was kind of going nuts. Um, we saw that because it was so dark, he was losing control over Dark Shadow, which is something that has been built up, and I've been waiting to see when we were going to actually see that. And I'm glad we're finally getting to it. And this is a very logical point to do so. How they're gonna stop Dark Shadow is your guess is as good as mine, to be honest. I have no idea how they're going to get a reign of that. But I'm interested to find out. We also have some fights still going on. We have what was his name? Moonfish, who's creepy as fuck. We have him attacking Todoroki and Bakugo. And we have various others going through there as well at the moment. Himiko and Dabi are still around. The guy who was able to create that clone of Dabi, he's still there. A lot of the villains have already been taken out, though, luckily. I think there's still more that we really haven't seen a lot of, though. So I'm interested to get into this. So we're going to just do that. I mean, why waste any more time, right? As usual, though, I do know nothing about what's going to happen in this episode. Luckily enough, because it's been some time waiting, and I have heard people have been talking about this episode. I believe I said in another video that, or maybe it was in the live stream earlier today, but people were saying that this is a really good episode, and not surprising at all to me, considering how Season 3's been so far. But yeah, so we are going to get to this. So when the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after it fades to black and then fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts, and will contain spoilers to the episode. So that being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you at the reaction. Okay, and we are back, and we'll begin with the spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. Okay, so yeah, this was another great episode. I can definitely see why there was some hype surrounding it. We finally got to see Himiko Toga in action. And she didn't disappoint. We didn't see her quirk yet, but I'm okay with that, actually. While I am very interested in knowing what her quirk is, I think what we saw of her for now is good. We saw exactly what we needed to see from her as of this point. I think she's definitely going to be bigger down the line, both her and Dabi. So I think that kind of not showing everything she can do yet is probably smart on part of the show. It's a way of introducing us to her character, but not going too far as to just give everything right from the beginning. So we have her fight with Ochiko and Sue. She seems very skilled with a knife. So bladed weapons seem to be her specialty. She also has this syringe kind of thing that she injects into people to suck out their blood, which is interesting. And her main goal here seemed to be collecting the blood, from what we gathered. She was supposed to collect 3 persons worth of blood, but had to end up leaving because she felt her life was in danger. So I'm curious about what that was all about. Her personality is phenomenal. I adore her. It's like, you ever have that character that you can't stand what they stand for, you can't stand their morals, you can't stand how they act or whatnot, but you still just can't help but love them. A lot of times this is how it goes for villains in a lot of shows. A lot of times, like, you have Joker, Harley Quinn, Poison Ivy, Thanos. You don't agree with, and I know I'm naming a lot of superhero villains, but it's the most applicable here. You have these villains who their ways of thinking are messed up. The things they do are terrible. Their actions are absolutely atrocious. But at the same time, because of their personality quirks or just the way they act, maybe the voice acting performance behind them, you can't help but love them. And Himiko Toga is a great new addition to that kind of character. She's a villain, and she's definitely messed up. You don't agree with what she's doing, but she's so enjoyable. Like, you just can't help but adore her. She's fun. She's really just delightfully crazy. And just everything about her is just amazing to me. I love it. But yeah, I mean, I don't agree with her villainous ways. Of course not. But that doesn't mean I can't still enjoy her as a character. But before that in the episode, we still had another battle going on. So Izuku and Shoji were tasked with, okay, so what are we going to do about Tokiyami? He's basically being controlled by Dark Shadow, which is the wrong way. He should be the one controlling Dark Shadow. But no, Dark Shadow's kind of taken control because Tokiyami got angry when Shoji got injured by Moonfish. And so Tokiyami got angry. His anger caused Dark Shadow to go out of control. And he was already having to hold Dark Shadow back. So it went out of control. But they actually used this. Izuku, with his just hyper intelligence, as we've seen, and his great strategic skills, manages to have it so that he and Shoji lead. They lead. Mind is blanking, sorry. Tokiyami and Dark Shadow to where Bakugo is, because Izuku wants to save Bakugo as well. Now, he doesn't know Todoroki's going to be there at first, or even that Moonfish is going to be there. They're just trying to get to Bakugo. So they manage to lead them there, and Dark Shadow makes quick work of Moonfish, which, considering how powerful Moonfish was, the fact that he was giving both Todoroki and Bakugo trouble, that's pretty impressive. Todoroki and Bakugo are two of the stronger members of Class A by far. I'd say they're top 3. But to have the fact that Tokiyami's Dark Shadow took Moonfish out so easily, I mean, yes, Moonfish wasn't expecting him. So there is the element of surprise there. But it was still extremely easy, because they didn't defeat him, like, instantly. He had some time to fight back, and he wasn't able to do anything. That's scary. Now, obviously, Tokiyami can't just use Dark Shadow with all of that power right off the bat like that. I mean, obviously, he's only that powerful when it's dark enough and when Tokiyami doesn't have control. But the fact that Dark Shadow can be that powerful is kind of scary. So they lead them there, and Bakugo, Bakugo first, very wisely, stops Todoroki's moving forward, and lets Dark Shadow take out Moonfish. Bakugo has been shown, time and time again, to be really smart. Like, I mean, he passed his entrance exams into UA with flying colors. We know that. He's actually really smart. That's something that's not touched upon a lot, because when people think of Bakugo's character, they think about his rage. They think about his just overly exerted violent tendencies. I mean, it's kind of his main character trait, you could say. But people don't often think about the fact that, yes, Bakugo is actually extremely intelligent. We saw this during the tournament arc. His match against Ochako, he actually used strategy in that match in order to keep Ochako at bay and even to stop her final attack in the end. He actually had to make sure he was focused well enough and was not taking her lightly at all. And that's something I really want to touch on here, because I rewatched this series many times now. I've seen seasons 1 and 2 many times because of different blind reactors having reacted to it. And I'm watching through season 1 again currently because of Rarity Dash's reactions. In season 1, at the beginning of the season, Bakugo is reckless. He's extremely reckless. He doesn't think things through too properly. But then he loses the fight, the mock battle, with him teaming up with Ida as the villains against Izuku and Ochako as the heroes during that mock battle that All Might was hosting for the class. Bakugo loses that, and he starts to see things in a different way. You could tell, like, he even mentions it, like, he mentions that he was listening to what the other students were saying after that during the other matches. He was watching what they could do. He even said, he admitted that he could not beat Todoroki at that point. And he admitted that Yaoyorozu, I believe he admitted Yaoyorozu was smarter than him, even. And various things like that. The point is, he started to come to terms with that he's not necessarily the strongest out there. That he's not the top of the iceberg. And when he was walking away from the school, and Izuku went to stop him and all, and then when he said, like, I'm not going to lose to you again, I'm going to beat you, that was kind of like this, it kind of came across as this challenge in a way. Like, he's challenging Izuku, like, I'm not going to lose to you again. I'm going to make sure I am strong enough to beat you. It didn't, like, the way Bakugo said it, of course, he was trying to be Bakugo. He was trying to be tough and intimidating and kind of an asshat. But it never came across to me like that. It always came across to me like more of a rivalry thing, more of a Vegeta-Goku thing. I've said it before, Bakugo makes me think of Vegeta. He makes me think of Vegeta so much. Vegeta in Dragon Ball Z started off as a villain. He was egotistical as hell. He was completely ignorant of other people. But after his defeat at the hands of Goku, he started to change. During the Namek saga, the Frieza saga on Namek, I should say, he started to show, like, acknowledgement of the abilities and powers of others. And as time went on, as the different sagas and arcs of Dragon Ball Z went on, he just continuously acknowledged more and more that he's not the best, and he eventually became a hero. And yes, he still kept his violent nature. He still kept his aggressive tone. But he became a hero in the end. And he became a almost friendly rival with Goku. He never stopped, he never, like, gave up on his goal to become stronger than and defeat Goku in fair combat. Never. But he sort of formed this, like, this bond with him almost. I really, really think Bakugo could be heading the same way. In Season 2, we saw Bakugo, like I mentioned before, start to grow. We saw him start to change and learn from his mistakes. We saw him start to study his opponents and even acknowledge their strengths. After his match with Ochako, he even said, while he was in the stands with the others, that there was nothing weak about her. He acknowledged her strength. Straight up. And he's been showing growth even now in Season 3. Like, just the one thing here, in this episode. It's like, he's insulting them and saying, like, oh, I'm not gonna follow you, maggots. You're not gonna protect me. Don't you dare protect me. But he's following them. He's following them anyways, because he knows it's the right move. He's still gonna be an argumentative bastard. But he knows it's the right move. He's learning. He's showing his intelligence, and he's becoming a much more in-depth character because of it. This is genius. Like, no joke. Bakugo is a character that In season one, I hated. Of course, I mean, I think almost everyone did. I mean, he's a bully. He's an asshole. He's just completely over the top dick. And it's like, you can't help but hate him. Of course not. You can't love a character like that. But then you see his steady growth, and it's subtle. It's a very subtle, steady growth. And it starts to make sense. It's like he needed to be the asshole at the beginning. Because that is what pushed Izuku. Bakugo being like that pushed Izuku to become better, to overcome that perception of him. And in the end, I do firmly believe that Bakugo is going to become a damn good hero. The villains mentioned in this episode that he definitely seems to have more of a mindset of a villain, and I've heard plenty of people say that. Bakugo has never made me doubt that he wants to become a hero. Bakugo wants to be the number one hero. That is his goal. He wants to be the best. And there's nothing wrong with that. The ways he's gone about it have issues, of course. But his goal is actually completely all right. So, yeah, it's just... I really love his character, to be honest. I don't like him. I still think he's an asshole. But I enjoy his character. I enjoy what they're doing with him because it's so well written. And from what I've heard, this is extremely accurate to the manga. So, I mean, you have to give the mangaka here credit. I don't know his name, so apologies for that. But you have to give him credit for all of this because he's the one who came up with the Bakugo character, and he's the one who's clearly put all of this into motion. And while the anime may be, like, literally putting it into motion, and even from what I've heard, even adding some depth to certain scenes and whatnot, it's still on the creator's intent that this is happening. So major props there. And I know I talked so long about just the Bakugo thing, and that wasn't even as huge for this episode. But it's like, from my perspective as a viewer, from my viewing experience, that made a big impact on me. Seeing Bakugo's continued growth like this. So yeah, I'm excited to see where this can go next. Now we seem to be at the end, nearing the end of this arc, of the training arc. The villains are getting ready to escape, but at the end, Izuku plans one last move, and they manage to take down this magician dude who had kidnapped Bakugo and Tokuyami using these magic gold ball things. And so they managed to take him down, but it's right in front of a bunch of the other villains. So there's definitely going to be something big happening next, and I'm not sure exactly where it's going to go or how it's going to happen. But one last thing I do want to bring up. Okay, two last things. One, there was a Nomu there, and I don't think we knew that before this. It might have given us we might have had a glimpse of the Nomu, but I don't think we really saw it. So having the information that the Nomu was there this entire time kind of came out of left field, but I think that's good. The Nomus have been established. We know what they can do. They clearly hold the quirks of multiple people, and we know how that happens now because of All for One. And yeah, it's just like seeing a Nomu again. It's like we know the deal with that. We don't need to see all of the details. So we see that Yaoyorozu and this other dude have been attacked, and the former of them hurt by the Nomu. That's what we need to know. That the Nomu was there and did some damage. And that's pretty much it. And Yaoyorozu had this dude plant a tracker on the Nomu, so I'm wondering where that's going to go. That's probably going to be significant. But then, there is one last thing. Aoyama. Aoyama's character is like the definition of meh for me. Unlike characters like Mineta, who just enrage the hell out of me, Aoyama is one of those characters who is just extremely meh. He's just kind of sitting there in the middle. I don't hate him, but I don't like him either. He's a little annoying, but he's also legitimately funny. He has a valuable and useful power, but it has a notable drawback, which, to be fair, Ochiko has a similar drawback to hers, which really hasn't come up much of any since the initial test. Um, Aoyama in this episode showed a side, though, that we haven't really seen from him yet. Aoyama's like this kind of boastful character. He has a very high opinion of himself, but not in the same way that Bakugo does. Bakugo is just very, like, overly egotistical to the point where he thinks he's, like, the strongest and he has to be the best and everything. Aoyama is more of, like, this almost, like, royal attitude to him, which kind of fits with his character anyways. He almost seems like this kind of, like, prince-like character who just has this high viewpoint of himself, and he just thinks, like, oh, I'm fabulous, and I'm just so cool, I'm just so awesome, and just that kind of stuff. And it's like, he's not really like, oh, I'm just the ultimately strong, I'm ultimately stronger than everyone else, and he's not like this like aggressively egotistical guy. It's more like this posh, this pomp egotism to him. But in this one, he showed vulnerability. He showed fear at Dabi. He's hiding out. He was told because he was told before that he had to help get the others to safety, and now we see him there cowering behind a bush in fear of Dabi, and he's legitimately scared out of his mind. Like, this is not just like a comical fear that you see in a lot of these kinds of shows. It's not at all played for laughs, and that's important because, as I mentioned, Aoyama's a funny character, and that's because he is mostly comic relief. At least up to this point he has been. He's been a funny, just comical character. That's how he was always portrayed. But this shows a very serious side to him. And yes, I mean, it's very believable that he'd be afraid of these villains. I mean, for a very obvious reason. His quirk can be useful, but it's not like the strongest or anything, and he knows that, and he knows its limitations and all. But the point I'm trying to make here is that seeing him so afraid, seeing him so legit, seriously afraid, it feels like they're going to be building something with his character. Like they're going to be doing something to make him also have more depth, like what they've done for Bakugo. Now, I don't know for sure if this is what's going to happen, and if so, I don't know how long it's going to take for them to do this. But if they can build Aoyama, I'm good with that. I would like to see more depth to him. I would like to see just a lot more to him. I'd like to learn about who he is, his upbringing, his family, all of that kind of stuff. I mean, he's not like the most interesting character, but still. Also, at the beginning here with Izuku like running into Shoji and Tokiyami, the lightning thing, that wasn't obviously Kaminari, so that was just, I guess, a visual effect. There was no actual electricity, I guess. That confused me, because it's like, they show a very visible, like, sign of electricity, but I guess it was just, like, supposed to be Shoji just suddenly coming out of nowhere and, like, grabbing Izuku, just this, like, shock to his system. That part could have, I felt, been handled a little better, at least colored different. Because having it colored yellow like that, like, you know, typical electricity color, it made it seem way too much like Kaminari was there. And it did this at the end of the last episode, and then again at the beginning of this one, so I don't know, it felt weird the way they executed that. It's not even really a complaint, it's a nitpick at best. But yeah, I did want to bring that up too. Anywho, I've been talking about this stuff long enough. But I did have a lot to say for this one, and that's good, because that means that this episode is doing its job and entertaining me as well as giving a lot of depth and intrigue to the story. So tell me in the comments below, what did you think of this episode? What did you think of Himiko Toga? What did you think of the way that Moonfish was taken out? And what do you think is going to happen next? Again, if you know spoilers from the manga, no spoilers in the comments. I am fine with hearing theories and thoughts and all, but no actual spoilers, please. So thank you all so much for tuning in, and for now, I'm Connie Royal, and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.
And don't just live for tomorrow, or just live in yesterday. Just be glad for all you have that's in today. And though you've come through many obstacles, shed tears along the way.